Hi everyone, so the next step on the derelict room build is to prepare the walls. So I've got this modelling paste and this is to add texture to the walls. I'm using this to make it look like there's very worn and battered plasterwork on the walls. I don't want to use wallpaper or anything in this one, so I needed to add a bit of texture to the walls. I want it to look like the sort of surface has gone on the plaster and this is like what's left behind. And so what I'm doing is I'm using my palette knife to put the texture paste, modelling paste onto the walls. You could add a little bit of sand to it if you wanted more of a gritty texture, but I quite like the texture of this once it's been placed on with my palette knife and then rubbed over a few times with my fingers to make it look rough and ready. So what I'm doing is just applying a thin layer. I don't want to put too much on, but I need enough to cover all the wood, because otherwise when I paint this it's just going to look like wood. It's going to look like balsa wood or whatever this is made out of. So here what I'm doing is I've applied it on, and then I'm going to take any excess that's around the edges because that'll interfere when I put the windows back in. And then I'm just smoothing it down a little bit with my fingers, not being particularly careful or anything. So this is going to create like a slight sort of rough texture to the wall. A slightly sort of bare wearing out plaster texture to the wall. And the reason I'm going over each area multiple times is I don't want it to be obvious fingerprints or anything. And this, you're best off leaving this to dry for quite a while. I wouldn't recommend doing anything else until it's fully dry. You can do bits, but it's going to be better to leave it to dry. Takes a couple of hours, I think. I can't remember how long this took to dry. So here now I'm just, as you can see, when I'm tapping with my finger, I'm kind of wiggling my finger backwards and forwards. I'm creating that rough texture, the bumpy texture. I want some areas to be smoother than others, some areas to be more raised than others. I don't want a perfect coating. And as you can see, you can also apply it with your fingers like this as well. Again, this will give you an uneven bumpy texture, which is what you want for an abandoned room. I quite like working with my hands directly onto the house. Sometimes paintbrushes and things can get in the way, and it's quite nice to create those textures by using the ridges on your fingers to create those lumps and bumps in the plasterwork. And this stuff comes off your hands dead easy. If you get a baby wipe and wipe it off afterwards, it'll come off, or you can use soap and water if you're wondering how to get it off your hands. It's kind of like, like polyfiller. It's kind of like polyfiller, but not as thick. And obviously this is used by artists to add texture to paintings and stuff, but I find it works quite well for this. So then once you've done that, then leave the walls to dry, and then I'll show you the next stage in the next video. Bye for now.